I'm well aware that many of the criticisms that are leveled at cryptocurrencies can also be made of fiat currencies, given that they aren't physically backed by anything such as gold and silver, and it's time we moved back to currencies that were. However, in a similar fashion to how governments will soon make anonymous crypto transactions illegal, they will eventually make cash-based transactions illegal for fiat currencies. Put simply, governments want to be able to track and monitor your spending and have full access to all financial merchant transactions in the real world and online, so as to ensure people aren't evading tax. Advertisers and credit card companies love the idea of a cashless society because it ensures they have massive amounts of data on consumers in terms of buying habits, as people only use their debit or credit cards to make purchases. The more information they have about your buying preferences, the more they learn how to encourage you to buy more stuff. As convenient as tapping your card may be, there is a significant cost. Cash means freedom and privacy for the individual consumer. But where's the profit in freedom and privacy to those who wish to control our society? We're being encouraged to make use of digital payment solutions more and more because cash-based options are gradually declining. Banks can therefore do away with having to provide ATMs, so our ability to physically obtain cash is being reduced further. There's a major push right now happening in Sweden, the UK and Australia to transition into cashless societies. Of course, carrying paper cash is less convenient than using a digital wallet on your phone or a debit card, so consumers are generally happy to make this change. One of the main arguments governments begin to make against cash is that it's untraceable and so therefore potentially used for illegal activities such as tax evasion, funding of terrorism, or money laundering. Notice these are the same arguments made to condemn anonymous crypto trading. The state and their corporate partners simply don't like you being able to keep things from them. This is the reason that the UK government brought in Snoopers Charter, which allows every branch of government in Britain to see the browsing history of every single citizen. There was no vote put to the public on that. It was just brought in the interest of public safety, of course. Remember that old saying, he who sacrifices freedom for security deserves neither. Corporations, governments, advertisers, and banks stand to gain enormously from being able to track and dissect the personal data of the citizenry, and we already know how much of a concern that is when it comes to social media. A mass surveillance state would be easy to develop if our society moves away from physical currency, and as a result of that, some truly terrifying things can happen thereafter. We've already begun to see the likes of credit card companies and payment processors terminate their services with certain individuals and businesses because of their political views. Well, what about the idea of a person essentially being frozen out of society entirely? A true digital unpersoning. You walk into a store and attempt to purchase something using your debit card or your thumbprint, whatever future biometric system we'll be using, only for the transaction to be declined. You're no longer allowed to buy that train ticket or purchase those groceries because something you may have said online was deemed offensive to the bureaucratic ideologues who control the international monetary system. As you might imagine, this kind of social and economic ostracization is not unlike that of the Chinese social credit system, and given that we're witnessing businesses and individuals being deplatformed and demonetized by what are essentially powerful cartels, it's not hard to imagine something like this developing in the West. A cashless society is a means of destroying anonymity and ensuring a nightmarish and Orwellian future. As we begin to surrender more and more of our personal information to corporations and governments, the dangers associated with identity theft only become greater. There's no reason for us to place our trust in these institutions, and certainly no reason to think that their centralized databases won't get hacked. As cash becomes scarcer in our society, we'll be told that in order to help protect our personal data and finances, we'll need to provide even more and more information, such as fingerprint identification or even DNA. The power that tyrannical regimes could hold over an entire populace would be astounding. With all of your life savings reduced to digital form and with no cash available, your access to funds could be cut off for any reason, be it wrongthink or political dissent. The political opponents of a corporation or government could be neutralized financially with the click of a button. The move to digital transactions may be convenient, but just imagine the pitfalls. Without cash, the government could control who you're allowed to do business with and what purchases you're allowed to make. Certain businesses could be destroyed overnight if people are simply prevented from being able to buy their goods and services. The expression, "your money is no good here," comes to mind. And unfortunately, it seems before too long, your cash won't be any good either. Well, I guess we could always go back to good old-fashioned bartering, right?